Let's get to, as you well know, Saturday was the final Saturday without college football until 2024. And that means we have, if you're not counting the NFL, if you're counting the NFL, there's more. But if you're not, it's 20 straight Saturdays, friends. 20 straight Saturdays begins this Saturday where your nightmare is over. Your passion, your love, your commitment, your investment financially and emotionally pays off beginning this Saturday as you sit back and enjoy the greatest sport on earth. And you do so with those that you love, those that you are like-minded with and or love to bet against. And you get to do so with your bookie and the degenerate at the bar that you've grown to like and everybody in between, which is what we do in the world of, in the family that is, college football. And so we made it. We all made it together. I celebrated Saturday after success over the weekend. Success on Friday, everybody. Everything's good. We're all good. Everybody's ready to go. And then, of course, Florida State scrimmaged over the weekend. And all I do now, and I think a lot of us have done, when you get through the two scrimmages and you've had the hard work put in by this football team, you kind of assess, you take stock, you sit back and take sort of a time to assess and say, all right, we're good. We're good. And for the most part, big time, and knock on wood, it stays that way because we all know it doesn't for everybody, and sometimes the years have seemingly been against you. Other times you seem to get off scot-free, but I'm talking about the injury bug. Florida State finds themselves in a really good place as the countdown to college football begins this week. You get a team that got through it. That's what I like to say, the hard part, where you got to hit, where you got to have those physical reps, where you got to compete, where you got to let the guys get after one another, not just thud, but let's hit, let's get after it. You get through a couple of those because you have to. You got to ready the body and the mind. You got to do those things. You got to find out what's what. And while there are still some question marks about certain starters at certain positions, I think there's no question mark about the fact that Florida State has gotten through the hard part. Now you just kind of want to put them in bubble wrap and say, let's get ready to play football. And, they won't do that. There'll still be some physicality to this, but they've come out the other side, Tom, and made it through this camp healthier than probably we would have had a right to expect. So that is the good news, especially with competition being what it was. Welcome in, brother.
Yeah, good afternoon, brother. Yes, I'm knocking on wood even as you're saying that and not me saying that because, things can happen between now and kickoff against LSU. Just because camp is over and they're starting LSU install doesn't mean that they're not going to have some guys that are going to be at risk because it's football after all. But, yeah, there were maybe some minor scares along the way, and that's just going to happen in a camp. There's attrition everywhere in college and pro. But by the time you got to the middle point of last week and you saw – everything moving in the right direction. Yeah. And then the first 2 minutes of Coach Norvell's address yesterday, which they broke early. They got done. They were supposed to be originally at noon. It was around 10:45 that the interview happened. And he says, no major injuries. It's like, oh.
That's what I want him to lead with that. Just start with that.
Yep. Yeah. And now with what this offense is and the depth that this team has across most positions, if not all positions, and some of the issues I'm hearing about what's going on at LSU camp, specifically in the defensive backfield. Buddy, I wish we could kick this off today because I feel like as of today, LSU's got a whole lot more work to do than Florida State does to be ready for that first game.
I think you're right. And to get to what Tom's alluding to, you have a situation where Denver Harris, the 5-star corner that came in from Texas A&M after being kicked out of Texas A&M. And by the way, that's a 5-alarm fire. If you get a kid kicked out of Texas A&M, that's hard to do now. I mean, Jimbo Fisher will let some things slide. We know Jimbo Fisher will let some things slide. So you got to – and as desperate as they are to win, they kicked that kid out, a malcontent, a problem from the day he got on campus. Denver Harris was. He gets to LSU. He's going to be the answer to their secondary prayers. They needed help there. They lost a lot. They had a major injury They had a Syracuse transfer come in, but, that's that. And then you have a bunch of freshmen. This was going to be the guy. And the new word out of, that camp is that, A, he was sent home. Now, it's not the first time that he was sent home. He was a problem in the locker room. And that even when he plays, he's third on the depth chart. He can't win the job. So the guy they were counting on to be a lockdown corner may not even be on the team by the time we kick this game off. And if he is, he's made zero impact since arriving in a positive way. And again, we mentioned a major injury to that secondary as well. So if you listen to folks covering that camp and those that have had the opportunity to watch some of those practices and talk to Brian Kelly, you get a sense they are extremely concerned about the secondary. That is full stop. There's no caveat to that. That is, yeah, we're good on the offensive line. We're good at wide receiver. We're good at running back. We're good along the defensive line. We're scared to death about what our secondary is right now. For the expectations that LSU has to come into a season top 6 and have these kinds of concerns, it's really good. Obviously, it's really good for a Florida State offense that has a bevy of weapons that everybody is excited to watch play. We talk about the multiple facets of this offense and the differing kinds of talent, whether it's size, both physically, thicker guys, but also taller guys, that unbelievable reach for some of these guys that are impossible matchups for good secondaries, let alone those that are shaky and young. Then you have the shiftiness of some of the other guys in the slot. You have the ability to leave personnel on the field and play tempo against a group that is struggling to get stops right now in camp for LSU. So early on, if we could play today, the sense is that you would take Florida State the 3 all day long. You'd take Florida State on the money line all day long. You'd take Florida State, Tom, to drop a minimum of 34 on this LSU defense, minimum of 34.
Yeah, and I think that it would be red zone failures or long drives for LSU, sustained drives that bleed the clock that would keep Florida State down, or a batted ball, something along those lines, in order to keep Florida State down from the upper 30s or lower 40s. Now, there is still time between now and kickoff, and that's why even if you're interested and you're in a state that allows you to do something like play the money line against LSU, it's gambling for a reason. So there could be developments that happen. Maybe LSU finds an answer. But right now it sounds like they're awfully thin at corner. They might even like their top 2, but they don't have much behind them. They don't know what they're going to do in the slot. One of their guys got hurt in the scrimmage that the media could see on Saturday, came up with an arm injury on a tackle against their tight end, and he had to leave for the locker room. It's just, you knock on wood that things continue to be smooth for Florida State. But in the key areas where they needed to be healthy or peaking at the right time in order to create depth, they're doing that. And I really believe that what I've seen, it's tough sometimes, buddy. You know this. When a team is playing each other every day, sometimes you don't know what you're watching. Especially last year, we had no frame of reference. How much better is Jordan really? What is Johnny going to be? Is Trey Benson fully healthy? And what is he going to look like when he doesn't wear a non-contact jersey? Like all these questions. And they were answered early against LSU. But I get the sense this camp that the defense is pushing the offense in a way that if you got them honestly before the camp started, the offense didn't expect to be pushed this well by the defense. I think they're doing a good job of making the offense better.
And I'm going to tell you that they've done that without pushing certain guys to I guess, be involved in as many snaps as they will be involved in the regular season. Yeah. So they've dialed it back for veteran players that are dealing with things or getting over things or aren't necessarily needed to prove their value. So without getting myself in trouble about that, a lot of people know that Verse was kind of in and out, in terms of holding him back and then wearing a green jersey and those kinds of things. Now, obviously, he participated in the scrimmage. He was described as disruptive. Yeah, that's what he is. Every single time he plays football, he's a major disruptive force. This is a guy who last year, just by the numbers, had a very good season and he probably missed upwards of where they would project him to play, 200 snaps. So, what's he going to be if he's healthy? Well, top 10 pick, top 15 pick is what he's going to be. He'll be a nightmare, which opens things up for Patrick Payton on the other side or Gilbert Edmond, who has a ton of experience. You think about what they were or were not in the middle last year with all of the injuries. I mean, Big Coop having to play with one arm was like half of the value that he would have normally been as an asset to you on the defensive line last year. They just played him because he was big, but he really couldn't make plays because of that injury, but he had to play a ton. Obviously Fabian Lovett missed most of the year after the LSU game, was not the same player. So all of a sudden you bring in a Braden Fisk and you have those two guys back that I just described, not Cooper, but Fabian and Verse, and then you've added to the list. And by the way, don't give up on Darrell Jackson just yet. Sometimes the political wrangling that you see going on ends up having an effect. Who knows if the horse trading going on between what the NCAA wants and what obviously politicians want, and you know what? Maybe we make a deal here and we'll pass your NIL legislation, but you got to do the right thing by these kids who entered the transfer portal long before the rules shifted within the NCAA. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying the more you read into that, the more you realize that it's not just Darrell Jackson, but others that may very well be getting a pass here soon. We'll see. It's not dead in the water. Just wanted to get that out there. There's still hope. Now, I don't know how soon that hope will pay off, if it does at all. Could it be in time for the LSU game? Perhaps. Obviously, that would be ideal, because let me say one other thing about that. Darrell Jackson has practiced. He has continued to practice. He's continued to be a part of that rotation. He would be ready to play football against LSU or anybody else tomorrow if that happened. If they announce that he's cleared, he could play tomorrow and he would be effective. He could even be dominant. He's played. He's been a part of all of this. So don't give up hope on that next. But that's the point, Tom. When we talk about this defense taking a step forward and we assume the offense is going to be good, and I think it's a rightful assumption. Hell, they were really good last year and all they did was better themselves. So now you look at it defensively, and let's say that you're that much better along this front and you can provide some pressure and you can stop offenses from running the football down your throat for long periods of time, like a lot of teams did last year, especially the better offenses. All of a sudden, you've got a dominant team in the league and perhaps a dominant team that makes the college football playoff. That's where we sit on a Monday of week 0. By the way, not just 20 straight Saturdays of college football coming your way. There are 7 games that will make up this first week. This week 0 has 7 games. I guess you could say the highlight of that would be Navy Notre Dame. I suppose you could hope for a miracle that Navy somehow beats Notre Dame in Ireland, which is hilarious, by the way. And I was at that stadium. I know exactly where they're going to play there at Aviva in Dublin. Those fans are all pumped up. It'll be fun to watch the field that, I'll see that field this weekend at 2:30 on NBC is that first game. And I'll see, I know where Florida State's coming out, and I know what that field looks like and what those fans are like and what that neighborhoods look like. Who knows? Wouldn't it be fun if it was late in the third quarter and that was a close game? Could happen. We'll see. Freeman would start to get worried about his job already. UTEP, Jacksonville State, UMass, New Mexico State, Ohio, San Diego State, Hawaii, and Vanderbilt, San Jose State, and USC at night. That'll be fun, Tom. Maybe we'll drink and bet. What do you think? We'll just drink and bet the San Jose State USC game.
Yes. What time is that kickoff? 10?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. All right. So Florida State has a practice on Saturday, 7:20 stretch and 9 o'clock availability. I see you're shaking your head.
I'm not going to go to that practice.
I assumed you weren't, and that's why you shook your head when I said Florida State has a, and you go, no, Florida State has a nothing for Jeff.
Yeah,
Florida State.
Jeff Cameron, I'll tell you that right now. There's not a damn thing I can see on a Saturday right before they play. No, not doing it.
I think I will be at a local watering hole, maybe the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill after practice gets out on a Saturday for a giant beer and college football on the screen. How can you turn that down this weekend? You got to take it.
Don't mind if I do. And finally, the late game. Well, I guess about 9 o'clock, FIU and Louisiana Tech. And the funny part about this is that when I go through the stretch of games and I say to you, UTEP, Jacksonville State, UMass, New Mexico State, Ohio and San Diego State, Hawaii and Vanderbilt, San Jose State and Southern Cal. Well, and there's a little bit of lure there. When I say that to you, you go, yeah, I'm going to watch every one of them. I'm going to watch every one of them, and I'm going to freaking love it. It's the only time where a lineup like that would elicit that sort of response.
Yeah, I am hoping for future betting purposes that USC's defense handles San Jose State's offense so that people get this feeling, maybe the line moves a little bit, a couple of points towards USC, or team totals move a little bit lower against USC than they would otherwise be, so you can pounce in week 2 on the fact that the Trojans defense is just not going to be very good. I'm looking for artificial inflation of numbers for week 1 because of week 0. I'm already playing that chess, man. There are some things I want to see on Saturday. Mostly, though, I do want to soak up what Aviva Stadium looks like from this side of the equation, knowing that we'll be sitting there ourselves this time next year in glorious weather for a win over Georgia Tech.
It will be a win over Georgia Tech, a lopsided affair, and it will be glorious weather because it usually is. A little overcast, cool, perfect, not hot, not humid, not the nonsense we're dealing with here in the States currently. But, yeah, that's all right. Oh, by the way, should be noted for those that like to hear about these things, not surprising at all, Florida State defensive end Jared Verse has been named a first-team preseason All-American by the AP. You know, when you get used to it, Florida State's had a lot of these kinds of players, but it's not nothing to it's not something to just roll your eyes at. It's hard to get guys off the edge that are these kinds of players, and they tend to make massive differences. If he plays to that expectation of being an All-American and a top 15, top 20 pick, you have a game in, game out difference maker that teams have to account for. And again, they have others, but that's a superstar in the making.
Yeah, coaches know how to look at film, obviously. But I do think that coaches will look at Florida State offers to edge rushers this offseason. I think they'll look at that a little bit closer, and maybe our competition won't just simply be Tennessee, like it was for the services of Jared Verse. If I'm Alabama, if I'm Georgia, if I'm anybody who's a contender, I don't care what I have in my roster. If Florida State offers an unheralded dude a chance to play defensive end for them, I got to look at that guy a second time because, man, they knocked it out of the park with Jared Verse. And, man, they saw something in Jermaine Johnson that a lot of other programs didn't have the opportunity to see, or maybe they got a good tip. But whatever it was, they're 2 in a row with first-round draft picks, period.
Well, and I'll just mention that if you take a kid like Braden Fisk and you bring him in from Western Michigan and he ends up going in the first 3 rounds, and I think there's a very distinct possibility that that is going to happen. If that happens, then again, to your point about teams, scouts, the way that you view Florida State's ability to analyze and project, it's a difference maker. If you're a player in the portal, if you are a recruit, all of a sudden you're thinking these guys do a very good job of building on a solid foundation, bettering it, getting it to kind of mingle seamlessly within the culture in place and project into the NFL, which is ultimately where everybody wants to go. Yes, you're further emboldening people to take a good long look at your program moving forward.
Am I crazy for thinking right in here, but I'll share it with everybody, that Braden Fisk could be the defensive line MVP this season? I think he could be, because he can do so many different things, and he's going to free up some space for his teammates up front.
Yeah, he's going to benefit from the fact that, A, he is relentless, he is bigger and stronger and faster than people realize, he cares deeply. Oh, by the way, he's surrounded by superstars. Yeah. So he's not going to get the bulk of the attention early, and he's going to have opportunities to dominate one-on-ones. And he's a guy that can disrupt from the inside, and you can kick him outside. He can do a lot of things to embarrass people in one-on-one situations. So I think he holds up well against the run. I think he creates a pass rush up the gut. Quarterbacks hate people at their feet. That dude's going to be at people's feet all day long. Yes, man, this is where the greatest opportunity for Florida State to see a huge leap on the field in consistency lies. Defensive line, defense in general. 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you on defense. I've been talking about it a while now. I've made assumptions that could be proven wrong. We'll have that conversation if that happens. But I feel good about my assumptions with Florida State's offense being elite. What I want to see is the defense go from having been 2 years ago horrid to last year good to this year very good, as in dominant against the teams that you have better talent than and can hold your own against the elite teams, of which you really only get 2 shots, maybe 3 in the ACC championship game, a 4th if you make the college football playoff, but you don't have too many opportunities. Those other games, Florida State's personnel should dominate. Can you create turnovers? Do you get pressure on the passer, which lead to those turnovers? Do you dominate the run in short yardage situations? Do you put people down distance, problematic, time and again, drive in, drive out? which creates all that we're talking about, a shift in Florida State's defensive prowess. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Leon County, let's get ready to win with Ken. I'm Ken Preston. I want to be your next Leon County property appraiser.
Hey guys, our next partner is AG1, the daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it quite literally every single day. I began using AG1 because I'll be honest with you, I don't like to take a bunch of pills and vitamins, and I just wanted something that tastes great, was quick, and easy to remember. So I do it. I do it every morning when I wake up. I certainly have it right after my coffee and before I work out. And I will tell you this, too. It is a simple, effective investment for your health. You can try AG1 and get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/JCS. Again, that's all you got to do is go to drinkag1.com/JCS. That's drinkag1.com/JCS. Check it out. It's delicious, it's quick, it's easy, it's proven. Vitamins, probiotics, whole food source nutrients. Start your day with it. You'll feel better, I promise.
And more. Throughout the years, we have made many great friends, serving thousands of great customers. To all of you, thanks for making our life so much fuller.
If you haven't seen us in a while, we invite you to drop by and check us out. Fulmer's, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations.
Attention radio listeners, this is a Foodies Takeout and Delivery new restaurant alert. Now available for takeout and delivery from foodiestakeout.com. The Hawthorne Bistro, Jerry's Love on a Plate, Coach's Pizza, Munchie's Pizza, Red Eye Coffee, Lofty Pursuits, OG Subs, Dave's Pizza Garage, Sakura Sushi, and many more. Find a complete list of locally owned restaurants offering takeout and delivery at foodiestakeout.com. That's foodiestakeout.com. Don't just shop local, order local.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Hey man, have you heard the sound? Pentalpha Jewelry's the best in town. For rings, diamonds, earrings, bracelets, and more. Pentalpha Jewelry Store.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pentalpha and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem, serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalpha.
Pentalpha Jewelry, Pentalpha Jewelry, Pentalpha Jewelry, home of the midnight skies.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com multimedia.
took it easy, as one does, just kind of took it easy. But at some point, I was in the kitchen. Making some food for the family, and I glanced at my wife and said, college football starts Saturday. And she rolled her eyes. She knows that that's it. You don't get to talk to your husband for the next 7 months. That's it. That's all. We're going. We're done here. I can just walk in the house and go, I'll hear, hey, hon, hey, whoa, the game starts in 15 minutes. I don't know what you ask somebody else. I'm about to throw on a game, but it's Tuesday. That's why I don't make the schedule. It's the way it works. There are games on Tuesdays, hon. They're not going to bet themselves. So then this is what happens. We keep giving, hey, babe, yep, watching a game. That's code for stop your yapping. Sometimes, yep, watching a game means, quick, I could use a sandwich. It's been hours. Sometimes that's what that means. But see, the other months of the year, doting on hand and foot. That's what I do. You got to build up equity, Tom.
Yeah, I think maybe what we could do for a sponsor idea, if there's a florist out there, maybe we could just have it on retainer that on a Monday we have flowers sent to our, Christy's place of employment. I could have it delivered to the house here while I'm doing press conference stuff, or I'm at the studio, whatever. And it's like, here you go, babe. Sorry for the weekend I wasn't here, but here's some beautiful flowers. And it's just every week, boom, you get a little delivery. It's a football season Monday. Help her outer.
It should have a little message like you can do for the notes that you send your family or your loved one, your wife, your whatever. The note should just say, I'm sorry, but yes, there's a game tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. And so what you could spruce it up every other week with some chocolate. Like, here's a little extra for you. I know. Maction is back. Sorry about that. So here's some chocolate to help you with the Maction.
Or you could sit down and watch it with me, and we could gamble together as a family. It's a wonderful time. We can all celebrate me being a degenerate gambler together. All right, so good afternoon, Jeff, writes Robert. Thanks, Robert. Good afternoon to you, too. Just an interesting question I always think about as a Nole fan. If you had to choose, who are you taking at defensive end / defensive tackle? Jared Verse, Jermaine Johnson, Brian Burns, or DeMarcus Walker? Hey, tons of credit to Brian Burns, who I whiffed on as a pro prospect. I think Brian Burns would overcome being undersized. He's gotten bigger. He's retained speed, and he's a really good football player in the league. So I want to give credit where credit's due to Brian Burns, who I thought was a good college football player, kind of one-dimensional. He continued to blossom and get better and better. I'll admit it when I'm wrong. I was wrong about Brian Burns. So it depends, Robert. I mean, what do you want? You want to start a game tomorrow in college? I'm going to take the pro player. If you're going to talk about their careers in college, you know what? DeMarcus Walker was a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just going to talk about what they accomplished here and we're basing it on that, DeMarcus Walker was a nightmare for people. They moved him inside. They moved him outside. They lined him up and he killed guards all the time on obvious passing downs. He really was a dynamic player for us. And if we're not just looking at pro projections and possibilities of what they'll become down the line, and we're just talking about what they were here, then the answer is a resounding DeMarcus Walker.
I think so, but Jared
what Jared's going to do this year will change the answer next year.
Yeah, correct. I think I would take this question as, look at what we have right now on the defensive line, and Jared could be removed and traded for one of these other guys, or you could leave Jared where he is.
Well, you wouldn't. You're right. You wouldn't do it. Jared Verse's potential this year is better than that of what Brian Burns was when he was here.
Yep.
And it's better than that of Jermaine Johnson, although Jermaine was very good, and DeMarcus Walker. But if it's by what they've accomplished as a Nole and the level of play they were at the time they played their last game as a Nole, then the answer is DeMarcus Walker.
DeMarcus Walker was so good, and there are a lot of Noles that you've been able to do this for over the years, but I don't know how many at defensive end. It's not as much as like receiver or certainly quarterback with our Heismans. Dalvin Cook at running back, work done. Where you go, watch this. Like, something's coming. Watch this. And then they deliver on it. Like Dalvin Cook. If the ball was handed to him, especially against Miami, you could say, watch this, and then boom, he's gone to the house. 3rd and 11, you just say that to whoever you're watching the game with. You could be in the stands, you could be watching with your dad, you could be at home saying, watch 44 here, 3rd and 11. He's just going to win. He's going to create a pressure. They might throw it away, but he was impossible to block on 3rd and passing. Impossible.
It was fun to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Phil writes, I've been waiting on an apology for years, Jeff. I've given a public apology to Brian Burns before. You just weren't tuned in, I don't suppose. I don't shy away from that stuff. I'm in the opinion-giving business. I don't worry about what listeners and fans think. Broken clocks right twice a day. Those dumbasses can luck into a correct opinion. I'm tasked with the responsibility of giving you one all the time, and I get a lot of them right. And I'm entertaining as hell, unlike most of the people that are listening or walking around this earth. So that's how that works. But just so you know, Phil, a thorough apology to Brian Burns, who went on to become much more than I projected him to be because I was wrong about Brian Burns. There you go. As far as Glenn noting that you're hearing some great things about Brock Glenn, yeah, man. Tom and I, if we had our druthers, would spend an hour on Brock Glenn. Not today necessarily, but just like any given day, any slow moment of the show, we could go to commercial break and I could go, hey, let's talk some Brock Glenn.
Yeah.
That kid. And you know who else, by the way, wants to talk about Brock Glenn? Jordan Travis. Same with the quarterback coach and the other guys on the team. I mean, they love talking about Brock Glenn. He's been good since he stepped foot on campus. He hasn't missed a beat. Now, understand about Brock Glenn that as with any true freshman, you're going to have some days where you go, woo, tough day out there today, Brock. It happens, man. That's true for any true freshman anywhere, no matter how refined and talented, big, strong they may be, intelligent, whatever it might be. But all you want to see from any potential starter down the road when they get here, or any highly valued or prized recruit when they arrive on campus, is, okay, there is a getting used to it period. The speed of the game is what I'm talking about. And also the complexity of the playbook and these kinds of things where kids can look absolutely overwhelmed. You know, it's the funniest thing because it doesn't matter. I was talking about this last week at my son's game. There's this, at any level of football, if you're new to it and you step on the field, the first thing that can happen is you've never played. And, you know, you maybe you're better than the kids in the neighborhood that you've been playing with and having some fun with. But now you're playing organized ball, right? And there are those kids that have been playing for a while. And you get out there and it overwhelms you a little bit. And then you adjust and you get better and all of a sudden you ascend, right? And then there's another level you're going to get to. You're going to move on to high school, and there's going to be seniors and juniors who are well past where you are. They're more advanced. They're physically more imposing, and you have to adjust to that. And then let's say you're fortunate enough to go play college football. You're good enough to, I don't care if it's the smallest college, you go to Elon or East Tennessee State or wherever you go, and you go there and you think hey man, they want me to come play college football. I must be pretty good. You get there and you realize every one of the kids that are out there were the best players on their team. That's how they got, they were probably better than you or certainly as good as you. That's how they got a scholarship. Now, everywhere you look, the kid is good. That kid that's next to you is good. So if you're an elite player or a plus player at no matter the position, and you get to a place like Florida State, imagine that adjustment when you look around and you see the level of strength and speed and ferocity the game is played with, and the expectations of those coaches and the demands, and then you're adjusting to life on your own and all that. What you want to see is a kid who's overwhelmed maybe that first week a little bit, show a slight sign of having adjusted and kind of made amends for certain things, maybe a little bit more anticipatory since we're talking about a quarterback. And then the next thing you know, now he looks almost downright comfortable when he gets reps. Now he kind of seems to have an idea where he's going, an idea of what that expectation is, what the speed is, what the strengths and weaknesses are of his game and others. And the next thing you know, he's wowing you once or twice a week with these limited opportunities. That's the story of Brock Glenn since he's arrived here. He's been a kid that almost from day one made those adjustments, had the requisite strength, throws a ball as well as you're going to see it thrown, and is a real talent. I don't think, to answer your question, that if tomorrow we were playing college football and Jordan Travis, knock on wood this doesn't happen, went down and they had to turn to a backup quarterback, that it would be Brock Glenn. I do not think you would put your freshman in that position. It doesn't mean he may not be the most capable of the bunch, but I think there's no doubt Rodemaker would be the guy that they'd turn to, and I understand that. He's played in college football games. He's been here for 15 years. He has to have a pretty good handle on this offense by now. He's proven it in a tight spot against Louisville when you had to have it on the road. The lights were bright. The pressure was immense, and he proved it. Do I think he's the long-term answer, meaning Tate would be the guy in 2024 as I sit here today? No, I don't. I don't think he is. But I think this year, if something were to happen to Jordan, Tate would go play. Do you agree with that, Tom?
I do. I think it could get close later in the year. I don't think it's close right now. Perhaps when you get out of September and the battle rages on to the back half of the season, I often reference that month where you have the bye week, September 30th, but then it's Virginia Tech and Duke and Syracuse that you're playing at home. Maybe at that point of the year, he gets a little bit extra run. But I think right now, if they had their druthers, they'd put him in their 4 games, if they have 4 blowout situations and retain the shirt. But he's very impressive. Ira and I were entrenched together, along with Aslan and Matt Lasser last week, for the entirety of the 5 days in a row. And Ira and I, each day as we walk out of practice, we would talk about Brock and say, every day he does something, every day. And I'll give you 2 stories, one brief one. I think it was Thursday. It might have even been, no, it was Saturday. Sorry. So at the end, the quarterbacks are throwing at the target with the small nets. I mean, you see it if you're watching Hard Knocks.
It's fun. I was walking out of practice the other day. They were doing it. It's fun to watch.
So Jordan throws one. It's just off by a hair. Really good throw. And then Brock hits one just as the air horn goes. He goes, at the buzzer! And it goes in. And then he hits it and he takes off. And Ira and I go, oh, man, every day. I mean, it was really, really impressive. And then earlier in the week, he makes a throw in 11-on-11. And to give you a side part of the story, Mike Norvell watches every rep with great intensity when they go full 11-on-11. You know where he stands. He's at where the safeties are. And he's staring down the line to see what the quarterbacks do. It's the opposite of Jimbo. Jimbo used to stand behind the quarterback. Mike stands basically center field.
Yes, he does.
Brock made a decision in a play. I thought it was a good one. Mike calls Brock over. And while another quarterback is participating in the next rep, Mike is in a long, drawn-out conversation with Brock Glenn going over, if they do this, you can do that. How about this? What do you think about this? All right. Now, what would your decision be there? It is a 45-second to a minute conversation with Brock Glenn. There is a live rep going on. I've never seen him ignore one to have a conversation with another player.
It tells you everything you need to know. Unfortunately for that other player, it tells him what he needs to know too. So that's the tough part. I'm repping over here, man.
Right. And I'm spending my time with Brock Glenn.
Some time talking to Brock Glenn here. You go ahead and throw wherever the hell you're going to throw it. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
The suspect involved in 2 violent attacks on August 17th in Tallahassee was arrested Saturday in Panama City Beach. The suspect has been identified as 39-year-old Corey Tanner. Tanner was quickly determined to be the suspect who got into a verbal fight with a man in a wooded area and struck him with an axe around 4 p.m. That man was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Tanner was also named as the suspect who got into another verbal fight less than an hour later with another man in the same area. Tanner shot the man in the head and fled the scene. That victim later died at the hospital. 2 days later, the United States Marshal Service located and arrested Tanner in Bay County. Troopers with the Florida Highway Patrol were investigating a crash involving a Tallahassee police patrol car and a cyclist Friday morning. The incident happened near the intersection of Crawfordville Highway and McCullough Rand Road around 9:30 a.m. The officer struck a cyclist identified as a 63-year-old man. He was taken by helicopter to Tallahassee Memorial with critical injuries. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Bright sunshine expected this afternoon. Daytime highs approaching 97. Easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 75. Mainly sunny skies tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 98. Mainly sunny skies and calm. Wednesday, daytime highs approaching 100. 96 Thursday. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 93.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and
And we do typically here, although we open things up to NFL and college football on the whole during the season, because that's what we do. We care about the fabric of football everywhere, right? But, the obvious one is Georgia trying to three-peat. They are the two-time reigning champions. And I know that some people will say, oh, well, it's been done before. No, it really hasn't. Since the wire service, there's never been a team win back-to-back-to-back national titles. Now, you go all the way. That wire service started in 1936. You go back before that, there were people saying that they were national champions because their best friend declared them to be national champions. So that's fine. You see a lot of schools, by the way, count those national championships too. They're like, hey, we're national champs. Don't you know that the guy at the local pharmacist said we were champs in 22? And I'm going to beg you to argue different. But that's not the way it works. Post 36, the wire championships, if you will, wire services, it's never been done. So huge story there. Obviously, we'll see if Alabama makes their way back into that group of the college football playoff era. Obviously, this is a guy who's, and Nick Saban, who's always contended for national championships. If they miss out again, Alabama, it would be the first time that they did not contend for a national championship across consecutive seasons in the playoff era. That's how freaking good that guy's been. And Nick Saban hired Tommy Rees, who's 31 years old, to try to fix things, although I don't think their offense is the problem. Moving on. Deion Sanders in Colorado, over under 4 wins, gang. Over under 4 wins. You going under, T. Lizzie?
I'm leaning under on that one. I do think that there's an opportunity for him to impress, quote unquote, in week 1 against a TCU program that's lost a lot. So if they keep it anywhere in the ballpark, let's say it's a 31-10 final, I think that's a win for him. He can still spin it this year as long as they don't look like a 2-10 team that has no idea. So he could still come out with a pitch if they go 3-9 the right way, if you will.
Other storylines is the Heisman watch. That involves our very own Jordan Travis. Obviously, you know about Caleb Williams, who's already won it, but Michael Penix Jr. is great. J.J. McCarthy could be in that list. Blake Corum running back at Michigan, really, really good. There are plenty. Ohio State and Michigan, that's an interesting storyline as well. Seemed like Ohio State had that in perpetuity. Now it's been Michigan in back-to-back years. It's a talking point worth exploring and having fun with as well. By the way, Robert, I see you there, buddy. Appreciate you. We're close, boys, after digesting my maximum daily serving of camp/scrimmage reports. By the way, I've had enough of those too, Robert. I'm not supposed to say that. Is it a hot take that Destyn Hill is wide receiver 3 this year? Either way, what an impossibly impressive journey he's had. It's not a hot take necessarily. He's had a good camp. He's physically there. I think that he's got a real chance to play a pivotal role in everything that they do on offense this year. And by, who knows, by second, third, fourth game of the year, he could very well be what you would consider the standard wide receiver 3, I guess. Depends on the formations that they're in, but yeah, he's going to play a ton.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's a week-to-week deal based upon game plan, situation, what they want to do. They've got options galore, but he is not out of place. They even said that in summer workouts. This is not somebody who looks like he's missed a couple of years of football and needs time. He's very hungry and motivated, and I think that's part of the battle. He stayed in very good shape, but Ron Dugans even said late last week that if there's work to be done, he wants to do it. I think Destyn is trying to make up for lost time. He's certainly playing like that.
The surprise story for Florida State, if we were looking for a hot take or something along those lines, I don't know what it would be. I guess maybe you could go to the running back room and pick somebody other than, say, Toafili or Rodney Hill to be the next best runner after Trey Benson. It's not a knock on those two individuals because Aya Holmes could be that guy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they've got a wonderful mix of running backs that can shine, a different one every week, depending on the matchup as well.
Yeah, that's a tough call. I think they all have roles that they can play right here, right now, and I think they might be divvied up with certain roles. I mean, we all know that Toafili's your slash. He's got everything that you want for somebody to catch the ball out of the backfield, good understanding of the offense. The rail route, the wheel, whatever you want to call it, that's a Toafili special. But Keziah, I think, can be a bruiser for you. If you want a bruiser to be able to handle short yardage goal line, I think that he's got a chance there. But Trey Benson, you pointed out last week, Trey Benson could just handle that because he's big and strong.
Well, he should. There's no reason to come off the field, man. You're a monster. Big, strong, can catch, all those things. Like, no reason for him. Now, again, you're not going to wear everybody down. You have viable options. You got to keep people happy. And there'll be plenty of garbage time this year when Florida State's blowing people out to get all the running backs involved. I do think, and I saw where Optimus Klein put this in the chat there, and I'll give you credit. I've said all camp, and I continue to say that I think Jaheim Bell's a superstar. I think he has a chance to be the guy that we're all talking about as the season goes on. He's a mismatch. He's a problem for anybody. I would tell you he's a problem for Georgia. He's a problem for Alabama. He's a problem for Clemson. He'll be a problem for LSU. He's that kind of a player.
Yeah, if we were going to do superlatives before the season started, I would make him most likely to be the fan favorite at season's end, is Jaheim Bell, because of how valuable he is, how large of a human being he is, and the nasty nature with which he likes to finish plays. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves that. Look, if you go back and do the 2013 season retrospective of big plays and big moments, Nick O'Leary's in a few of them, but he's not in as many as Kelvin Benjamin or Rashad Green. But everybody remembers the play at Clemson. Everybody remembers that. When Kirk Herbstreit couldn't help himself, he went Gary Danielson in the moment. Woo, with the big hit. Jaheim's going to do that this year, and it's going to be more than once. So people are going to love him by year's end.
Yeah, I think that not only will they love him by year's end, I think they'll love him after the LSU game. I think he's going to show up big in that game. Mike does a great job. Alex Atkins does a great job. The two of them are fantastic when it comes to scheming up big plays for tight ends. They just didn't have a good one. They've had to kind of work around sort of the averageness of that room, if you will, not trying to just take unnecessary shots at guys, but they got a room now of real players. I mean, good players that can change because of the matchup problems. So, can you imagine keeping those two guys out on the field? Let's just say whether it's Biscuit and Jaheim Bell or Jaheim Bell and Kyle Morlock or however they want to do it, and then not changing up personnel. You're able to keep Keon Coleman out there and Johnny Wilson, and you play fast. And defenses are having to deal with that. That's a nightmare. Like, you'd be sitting over there on the sideline as an offensive coordinator, as a play caller, just giggling.
I think that they can. I think that they would. The more likely combo, just if you're looking for variety of skill set, I think there's redundancy with Kyle Morlock's receiving ability and some of the receivers you have, but Marquiston on the end of the line as a blocker, I mean, that is so valuable. And then you put him out there with Bell. They have been running tempo at times, and that's nothing. Mike Norvell said that on the record. They don't look like they're out of shape. Jaheim and Marquiston at that size, they look like they can go fast if they want to. So, yeah, leave them out there, I say.
Good times. Good times. And that was your Tub Talk. Show the floating thingy. Show him floating about on his back. My friends at Pinch a Penny, Tub Talk, baby. Let's go. They make it easy. This is so damn easy. Affordable financing. Think about this. If you want a big-ass hot tub, $99 a month. Take a look at that massive selection, 12,000 square feet plus, Greer Street, just off of Capitol Circle, Pinch a Penny. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper.
I got to ask you about your guy, Destyn Hill, because, it's been a long journey. He obviously signed with you in 2021, big-time recruit. He finally gets here now, and you've been kind of encouraged people to be patient. You thought this day would come. What's it been like for you to see him out there? We're starting to hear buzz about what he's doing out there and some of the player run stuff and some of the summer conditioning and practices you guys are done. As a coach and as somebody who guides young men, what's it feel like seeing him out there?
I think it's a really good feeling. This kid was determined to be here. When he get here, he's just taking it to the next level. He's running, doing everything that you ask him to do. Everybody's in the building just so happy with his attitude, what type of kid he is.
I couldn't wait to get here, and it means everything that I'm here now, so I'm excited to see what's to come. I'm actually further than I thought I was going to be. I'm actually feeling amazing right now, so, I'm just hoping that I can contribute this year, and that's what I look forward to doing.
At the end, he has something that's hard to find. He has desire, whereas you don't have to motivate or inspire him. It's already in him. He knows why he's doing it. He knows why he wants to do it. So those are the ones you have to protect from themselves. As long as there's work, he's going to go find it. So he's a get after it. I really want to praise his mindset and his approach of his preparation, which is allowing him to have those opportunities. So, sometimes as a coach, you have a guy with all the talent in the world, but the desire is not quite there yet. So you have to inspire them for the desires. So instead of making them meet, they want to meet, they want to go get to work. He has that in him already, man. He comes from a wonderful high school program, and he does it. He knows why he's working and what he wants to get out of this.
The kid loves to work. He doesn't shy away from it. He's been out for a while. Starting with the summer, with skills and drills. He's one of the ones that's been pushing himself. Straining. In the summertime, he's a guy that, I've been on him, hard. He's been responding, man. He's been responding really good to, whatever we throw at him. We try to put him in uncomfortable, situations, and he responds to it. Now, a couple of times he's getting his butt kicked a little bit, but he's someone that when he really gets it, the fundamentals and the technique down, all right, he's going to be a problem.
You got to go up against Destyn Hill a few times today. What's it like kind of going up against him again since high school, and what improvement have you seen in him?
Yeah, I think he's doing a very good job since he's been back, consistently. Now he's working in with the one, so, I'm happy for him. That's first and foremost. I think it's just good competition. He just got back, so I feel like it's in my hands to push him to that standard and, compete with him at a high level, so he know when he go out there, they're not going to take it easy on him.
Yeah, Destyn is what we thought we were going to get. He's, obviously when you have, the delay in enrollment and now coming in and, learning, the things that he's being asked to do, offensively, conceptually, just getting back in the swing of things, just learning how we operate. But he's really done a great job through the summer. I think he's a guy that has a chance to put himself in a great position to help this football team this year, or probably very early in it. But he's just got to continue to work, and grow and get better. But I'm definitely very pleased with what he's brought.
Atlanta Braves today, a $2.14 home favorite against the New York Mets, plus 188. 10 over the total at Truist Park. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler. I'm Cookie Serratos and I'm 11 years old. She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit on the go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Call Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
The kids are back in school, and that means more homework, more projects, more research, and more screen time for the kids. These days, you can't get much done without using a phone, tablet, or computer, so you'll need all your devices working properly. Macklemore Systems is here to help. Not only can you get repairs, upgrades, and replacements, but you can also get expert advice, guidance, and consultations on how to maximize the use of your Apple gear. The Trapper Keepers are gone, and in this digital world, Macklemore Systems are your digital experts. Online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
If you've been considering getting a new hot tub or upgrading your existing hot tub, now's the absolute best time to do it. Hot Spring Spas has the jets on full blast, and the prices right now have never been hotter. You can find huge savings at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, and we mean huge. For a limited time, you can get up to $5,000 off in instant discounts and rebates, plus 60 months no interest financing for qualified buyers. You heard that right, $5,000 in discounts. And that's not all. When you buy a hot spring spa from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you'll get a free consultation to determine the best placement in your yard for installation, a free accessory of your choice, and install can be completed in just a matter of days. It's the most aggressive rebate program that's ever been available to buyers from Hot Spring Spas. So stop by Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road today to check out their 12,000 square foot showroom with over 50 hot tubs on site. If you're ready to relax, Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4...
college football, friends, begins this Saturday. Navy Notre Dame, 2:30. UTEP Jacksonville State, UMass New Mexico State. Doesn't matter. I could say any two teams that are legitimate programs. I don't care if they're the 111th best, 107th best, squaring off. You are going to be excited just like I am excited, and we are ready to go. We'll have some fun announcements here. Tom and I are going to talk to you about some stuff we're doing. Of course, the Warchant gang, we're all doing something to help provide plenty of content and coverage for Florida State and the entirety of college football. But soon enough, Tommy, we'll be telling everybody very specifically. I'm getting asked more and more. You can tell we're that close, and the people are ready to make their commitments, their tailgates, their arrangements with friends. I'll meet you here, then we're going to go there while we're in Orlando, then we're going to come over here, and the next thing you know, we're going to watch Jeff and Tom do the pregame show, and that's going to whoop ass, and it is going to whoop ass, and that's going to be over here by Hooch, and then there's this thing, and if you're watching on Warchant TV, we'll flash up on the screen right now. I can tell you everything that is happening. Warchant live in Orlando. We'll do a live Seminole headlines on a Saturday, a meet and greet 4 p.m., live show 5 o'clock, Hooch, Wall Street Plaza downtown. Then on game day itself, Tom and myself from 12 to 2 at the Wall Street Plaza, and then the post-game show live until 1 a.m. 1 a.m. It's going to be at Hooch. So they're right there.
I would like to change that time, if I could, please, for the post-game show. I would like to change it to 1 and 0 a.m.
Nicely done.
1 and 0 a.m. Yeah.
I like it. I did some checking. I wanted to make sure I wasn't wrong on that. I asked you guys about Deion in Colorado, just out of curiosity to get a gauge on the chat and the interaction there, what the number was. And I think I said, would you take 4 for Deion? I'm taking a resounding under on 4 wins for Colorado. The number Vegas has is 3.5. So count me on that under. I'd be surprised if they if they got to 4 wins. I'd be very, very surprised if they got to 4 wins.
Yeah, probably.
Stun, Tom.
Well, there are also, there are teams, and you could say Florida State was one of these last year, that they'll sneak up on you and surprise you. You won't circle the calendar because Florida State's been asleep at the wheel for so long. And then you play Florida State, you go, oh, wait a minute. This game's over. It's in the first quarter. I think that happened to a couple teams last year, Georgia Tech, Boston College, well, the Syracuse game as well. Florida State, for any one of those teams, Boston College on the road in week 3, Wake Forest on the road, I mean, we're going to be circled, because a lot of people are picking us to be ACC champions. We've got a Heisman contender and so forth. So it's like the old days. You're going to get better than what the film says from a lot of different teams this year. Colorado is in a weird spot because of Deion Sanders, that everybody's going to circle them, even though they suck. So that does not help their case. They will sneak up on nobody this year because of all the bluster of the offseason.
Let me tell you what. They better beat Colorado State on September the 16th. They better win that game, because if they don't, I'm counting losses against TCU and Nebraska. Now, you might say they could beat Nebraska. Fine, let's bet. I'll take Nebraska. But they're hosting Colorado State. They better win that game. The following week, they're on the road against Oregon. They're going to get blasted. They're hosting Southern Cal. They're going to get blown out. If they have lost to Colorado State in that time, they're going to be sitting at 0-5. Okay, and then it gets interesting because you have some winnable games, I suppose. But if you lose to Colorado State, what's a winnable game? On the road at Arizona State? On the road at UCLA? Perhaps home to Stanford? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Are you going to beat Oregon State? No. Could you beat Arizona? I guess. Man, I could see them winning one game against Washington State. Maybe. And getting blown the hell out by Utah at the end of the year by 50. So there you go. I'm taking a resounding under for Colorado, just as you know.
A good question from P. Simpson, as is usually the case. Higher total, Colorado wins or Jackson West catches?
We had we had a moment in time that I'll try to cherish, because it may be the only moment that I get to cherish a play being made by Jackson West. in practice, I don't think Mike would be mad at me. Jackson West made a tough catch, turned it upfield for a big gain a couple weeks back. Tears welled in my eyes as Jackson West made that play. The first and only play he's ever made since arriving in Tallahassee at any point.
Well, he will be able to, in his later years, brag about how he caught a pass in practice from the great Brock Glenn. The great Brock Glenn.
He was a laser.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, man. I root for the guy. I want to see. Listen, to watch that dude these days walk off the field, he's an Adonis. He ought to be good if we're just going by body types. Like, you ought to be a good player. And he's got the right demeanor in that when he's practiced, he's chippy and mean. Like, he gets in arguments with people. It's just, damn it, man. It's a toughie.
So in the spirit, I just can't mention Brock Glenn even, in a passing fashion without coming back to him. In the spirit of the Aviva Stadium Aer Lingus Football Classic this week, the 2024 Aer Lingus Football Classic, Brock Glenn passes for over or under 249.5 yards.
Over. May not need to.
Yeah.
May not need to. Georgia Tech is in a tough spot.
But you may want to get some work in with Hakeem Williams and Vandrevius Jacobs and on down the line because, there's a lot of attrition from one year to the next. So we need to get ourselves in a rhythm here with live action.
Hakeem Williams, I might note, has had a good camp. He's come a long way. He's a great example of what I referred to last hour about newcomers walking in. They've been the belle of the ball wherever they were in high school because they're bigger and stronger and faster and just more dominant, right? And then they get somewhere where everybody was that guy for their respective teams, and it's a bit overwhelming. And, he came in, I thought, way too big as a wide receiver. He looked more like he was going to be a tight end, and he may end up being a tight end. He's a big, strong dude. It's an impressive physical presence for him, but he's a guy that I thought needed to slim down. I thought he needed to get himself in better condition, just cardiovascular, being able to run, being able to get out there and go, play in and play out. He wore down. He would miss the tail end of practices in the spring. He's tired, and I'm yelling on the sidelines, Orange Theory Fitness, brother, let's go. Get you on one of them treads and start running. But he slimmed way down. He came into camp in shape. He looks so much better, and it's a testament to the depth. Corey Clark said this on Wake Up Warchant. It's a testament to the depth of this wide receiving unit, this wide receiving core, that he's not really a thought of option right now amongst the upper crust of that segment group. He's, he's going to play now. You're going to watch him play. He's going to play football this year for Florida State in games. He's going to make plays, but he's not a guy that you're expecting a ton out of. You're not thinking to yourself, oh, well, I expect to see him have a 5-catch, 100-yard game in the first few weeks. Like, that's not who he is. Not yet.
Well, maybe Southern Miss, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
At full strength in that room, he's probably 7th, 8th, somewhere in there. I mean, just a raw guess. Could be even lower down the list. But what I will say is watching him in the spring, I believe it was you and I who were having the conversation over at Hauser watching that. And clearly he didn't have to be refined in his route running like Dre Jacobs did because he was just so big and strong. And so in high school, because you're that fast and you're that strong and you're that profile, refinement isn't a thing. Well, he's already improved a huge amount from spring to now in terms of breaking off of routes. It's still not perfect. The timing's not all the way down, but he just looks a hell of a lot more like a wide receiver than a huge dude who's got athleticism, to rival anybody in the country.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I believe he's a guy that by the middle of the year could be interesting. He may rise up that depth chart you're referencing. I think he could be a guy where you start having that conversation with your friend. Hey, Hakeem was in a lot more sets this weekend. He was out there quite a bit this weekend. But for the reasons that you gave too. they're going to need him to be kind of a star next year. Not this upcoming year, but the year after they are. And I'll be very interesting. This is another aspect of this season as we sit here on week 0, highly anticipating these first games, getting excited about our options and where we're going to watch and who we're going to watch it with. And, just launching another season of the sport that we're so passionate about. There are a lot of little things to pay attention to as this program builds towards being an annual presence at the end of the year fighting for a college football playoff spot. Now, this year, there's only 4 teams. Next year, to be 12. You would like to get to a place where you're assuming your spot is secured in a 12-team playoff if your program is operating to peak efficiency. But to get to that place, there's still steps that need to be taken. And one of the things that happens with year-over-year successes in big-time college football, you see it with Georgia right now. You've seen it with Alabama for years. And once Clemson got rolling, you really saw it with them. You see it with most programs. Ohio State's included in that conversation. One of the things that happens is that you bring in great players. That's a given, right? The Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's. You bring in the stars. You bring in players. You bring in great transfer portal players, a part of that equation these days. And Mike and company have mastered that. Now it's transferring to the high school ranks where you're getting yeses from big-time players who were being considered by Alabama and Georgia and others. So that's another step that had to be taken, and you're going to continue to improve upon that as you get more yeses and more successes on the field. But you build that depth to a place where in the 7 to 8 games in which you throttle the opponent because your team talent is so much greater than theirs, these young guys that you're excited to get yeses from in the recruiting trail, you begin to watch play a lot of football in their freshman year, their redshirt freshman year, and certainly by their sophomore year. You're beginning to see them play quite a bit. They are the future, and they may not be starters, but they play a lot because you're up by 30 in the third, or you're up by 24 early in the fourth, or whatever it might be. And that tends to build a camaraderie that's often overlooked. We talk about a team's goals, and we talk about the camaraderie in the locker room and player ownership, and having a credo that you live by, and being held to standards where the upperclassmen pass it down to the next, and the coaches send that resounding message over and over and over again. But one of the things that helps see that gel is getting to play. I mean, let's just talk about it. Like, you're sitting there as a star high school player, and all you've ever done is be him. You've been that guy. You've been a star. You were all district, all city, all state. You were a 4 or a 5-star. You got, well, back in the olden day, kids, you'd get letters. I'll never forget the first letter I ever got. My God, this is a letter saying, hey, we like the way you play football. It was a good feeling. But these days you don't get letters. But nonetheless, you get noticed. Somehow, some way you get noticed, and you're used to that attention. And then from there, you expect that the transition may be a little bumpy. It's your first time away from home. It's all those things that we speak of, but you do still have the kind of confidence that comes with being an elite player. You want to get on the field, man. And the longer that you're sitting on the sideline, not playing, yet going through those grueling practices, the more apt you are, unfortunately, to then start to have a wandering eye. In today's college football, you have to factor that in. Can you get good enough that these kids get a lot of playing time early in their transition? Not reps in which you need them to help you win the games, although there will be some kids who fall under that umbrella, but rather reps that just satiate the appetite to be on the field and compete the way that you always have. And you get to do that, A, because college football transitioned from an antiquated way of doing things in yesteryear to what we see now, which is that you can play in 4 games. And you can play the hell out of some plays in those 4 games, and it doesn't matter. You can retain your red shirt if need be. But you can play in those 4 games, and the question is whether or not your team's good enough that would see you play in those 4 games, right? When you're bad, when you're a sub-500 program or barely getting by, there aren't too many opportunities where the kind of security that you feel in which you can tab a kid to take the field early in the third quarter of a game is presented. See Jacksonville State, right? So you got to have a program that has arrived at that place where there are so many chances to give guys a lot of reps, that too builds camaraderie. That too builds confidence. That too builds sort of gels what we're talking about here, where guys can say, yeah, go to Florida State. They got a lot of great players. People are always wondering, why would you go to an Alabama when in front of you are 3 and 4 guys that are going to go to the league that are 5-star players? Well, kids want to win. They want to win. They want to win national championships or have a shot at it, and they want to go to the league. But the other reason is because they get opportunities to play in big-time college football games because Bama's steady beating the bejesus out of people. They get out there quick. They get out there early.
And if it happens this year, it'll be the second year in a row that you can do that and afford your roster the opportunity. There was, more than half of your schedule last year, you're able to put young players out there in situations to get used to the speed of college football. This season figures to have at minimum 5 such opportunities. I think there'll be more than that, maybe against some named teams. Like last year, I don't know if on August the 21st, we expected Florida State to be able to get those kinds of players in against Miami. But certainly by the middle part of the first quarter against Miami, you realized, if I'm a freshman, I'm saying, I'm going in today. Let me get stretched out, man. I didn't know I was going to play today, but now I know. I better get ready for the opportunity. But what it also does is it creates a higher level of interest the way it used to be, the way it was for 29 straight, and the way it was for the entirety of the 1990s, which is my attention is still absolutely fixed on the field, on the television screen, on whatever it is, as a Florida State fan or supporter, because I want to see what these young kids can do. I want to see what these blue chippers that we worked so hard to close on in December, or these kids we got out of the portal. I want to know what Ashlyn Barker's about. I want to know what Hakeem or Dre Jacobs or Goldie Lawrence is all about. Man, I hear Sam Singleton can fly. Can we see that in a game? I mean, that's what's coming next. Landon Thomas next year. If you can get an opportunity against Georgia Tech to have Landon Thomas break in his career with a Brock Glenn, Luke Kromenhawk could play in that Georgia Tech game in the second half next year. Come on, man. People get excited about that. I feel excited about the prospects of seeing some of these players, especially against Southern Miss and hopefully Boston College as well in weeks 2 and 3.
It's so funny because here we sit again. This is week 0. We're going to get to see college football this weekend. And I'm reminded, Tom, I'm going back to when I was in school, and I'm thinking back like 93, 94, 92, 93, 94, 95, those years. And I remember looking out on the field and late in games, and you're looking for like a freshman that you'd heard a lot about or a redshirt freshman that you'd heard a lot about. In 94, for example, Darrell Bush was on that team, linebacker, okay? Darrell Bush went on to be an All-American. Darrell Bush was a stud, but he was a redshirt freshman that year. There were guys like that. There was a kid from St. Pete, Glenn, I think it was, and I remember wanting to see him get – and these guys would all get in. They'd all have and you're locked in like that's the next stud. That's the next guy. And you couldn't wait. And you're watching a game in the fourth quarter. I remember sitting with my buddy Eric, and he's like, man, it's 52-0. Yeah, but they're getting ready to put that fourth team in. I'm telling you, some of these kids are going to be incredible, and you couldn't wait to watch it. I want to do that again. I want that to happen again. It's also a sign that your program is out of control healthy. I mean, it's like, you're at a place where it's kind of silly.
That would be where it's as healthy and as robust as perhaps the giant menu you see when you're in the drive-thru of your neighborhood Zaxby's.
Oh, this guy is the real MVP. Tom Lang can work a Zaxby's in to anything. I'm reminiscing about 1994 rosters and kids getting games that are up 52-0, and he's thinking, that's nice, Jeff, but you know what's better? A big-ass Zaxby's sandwich, split-top bun, 3 thick-cut pickles, Zax sauce to go with some fries, and then maybe a platter on game day. That's what you're thinking.
Yes. In fact, I was thinking when you were talking about how we won't see our families for 6 or 7 months because, of course, the pros count too. We got to still continue to watch professional football.
They'll see us watching football is what they'll see.
Right. But they can also see us walking through the door with a platter once or twice because we've done that the last couple of years. We have conditioned our families and our households, respectively, that there's going to be a lot of chicken this football season, and you're going to love that. And you're going to count on that as a part of your week. So we'll make sure that we hit up our friend Danny the way you should out there because he's been a Golden Chief booster for over 18 years.
He has, and Zaxby's 67 locations in Tallahassee. I don't know what they have in other parts of Florida or Georgia, but Tallahassee has 67 locations. So there's really no excuse. You're going to bump into a Zaxby's when you leave a Zaxby's. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Here, and I want to talk to you about going coastal. Living in our area has a certain lifestyle, and a big part of that lifestyle is spending time at the coast. If you're like me and you've always dreamt of owning a home or property on the coast, then call my friends John and Brenda Brown at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Beach Properties of Florida. John and Brenda are coastal experts from St. Teresa to St. George to Port St. Joe, and they are the only realtors trusted by the St. Joe Company to sell the exclusive beachfront properties of Summer Camp Beach and St. Teresa. Also, my friend John is born and raised right here in Tallahassee, who spent most of his youth going to St. George Island. And they've sold everything from large acreage tracts to entire neighborhoods to multi-million-dollar beachfront mansions on St. George Island and St. Teresa. If you're looking for experts in coastal property, look no further than my friends John and Brenda Brown. Online at yourforgottencoastrealtors.com. That's online at yourforgottencoastrealtors.com.
If you've been considering getting a new hot tub or upgrading your existing hot tub, now's the absolute best time to do it. Hot Spring Spas has the jets on full blast, and the prices right now have never been hotter. You can find huge savings at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, and we mean huge. For a limited time, you can get up to $5,000 off in instant discounts and rebates, plus 60 months no interest financing for qualified buyers. You heard that right, $5,000 in discounts. And that's not all. When you buy a hot spring spa from Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, you'll get a free consultation to determine the best placement in your yard for installation, a free accessory of your choice, and install can be completed in just a matter of days. It's the most aggressive rebate program that's ever been available to buyers from Hot Spring Spas. So stop by Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road today to check out their 12,000 square foot showroom with over 50 hot tubs on site. If you're ready to relax, Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
Someone who thought texting was a better idea than stopping for a traffic light slams into your rear bumper. Now your back is injured and you've got to be at work and rehab all without a car. I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we hear stories like this every day. You shouldn't pay for someone else's mistake. Call us at 850-777-7777 and we'll make sure you come back stronger.
I'm Stephanie, and I work for Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I've been working here for over 11 years, and to say making the switch to Paul's has been life-changing is an understatement. First, we provide a service that truly helps people protect the health of their families and pets from disease-carrying bugs and rodents, plus their homes from destructive termites. So when I go to work every day, what I do really makes a difference. Second, I have grown professionally in the company. I was hired by Paul's in customer service, and now I'm the customer service leader. While my responsibilities have grown, so have my team benefits. It's such a blessing to work with friends doing something that helps people, plus being well paid. If you're in a job that provides minimal pay and satisfaction, we have openings right now. Paul's employees receive many benefits like CHP, 401k, paid vacations, and holidays. We work Monday through Friday and provide extensive training so no experience is required. Call today to learn how we can improve your life.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news in...
Our dear friend, colleague, and the great Ira Schoffel of Warchant.com. Before we do, I will just note really quick, Quarterback Club tomorrow night, that is Mike Norvell as the guest speaker. I used to introduce the guest speaker back in the day. I think 5:30 is when you can get there. Also, TallahasseeQBClub.com is where you're going to want to get your tickets. Featured speaker, Mike Norvell, University Center Club, August 22nd, 5:30 p.m. It is the 74th annual kickoff dinner. By the way, Tallahassee Quarterback Club does really good stuff for kids in the community, local high schools, coaches, players, fans, all that good stuff. All right, let's bring him in. Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com. Got the smash tonight. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Jeff. How you doing, man?
I'm good. We got a live version of Ira today. Look at him. He's on the screen. He got a little sun this morning. He was edging out in the driveway in his Baltimore Orioles cap. He's beaming with pride these days. I don't know where that Orioles cap was 2 years ago, Ira, but man, it's on that head every day these days.
It was in the mothballs a couple years ago, Jeff. But that's the thing now. Like, it's not it's not like just for special occasions. Like if there's any occasion during Orioles cap right now, first place in the American League,
They never lose.
Just another sweep this weekend. It's just
Hey,
and if we can play the A's every weekend, I'd be happy.
They are fun, and listen, as a Pirates fan, 55 and 69 these days are the Pittsburgh Pirates. I always have found, and it's an art form. I find a team. Now, I always root for the Rays. I know that's going to bother you, but that's my hometown there. But I always try to find another team that I can latch onto and enjoy their success. Partly because I have probably a friend who's rooting for that team. And you're the guy this year. The Orioles are a team that I grew up liking as well. I've given the many reasons why. So it would be great to see you face off against the Braves in the World Series and sweep the Atlanta Braves. All right, let's make it happen.
I feel like there's a pretty good chance of that happening.
It would be fun. It would be fun. All right, so it's the start of college football. We've largely made it through camp. Don't you think now this is where we just start seeing sort of a dialed back approach? We start game prepping now. Guys, if you made it through camp to this point healthy, we feel like we're on the other side, right?
For the most part, obviously you guys know as well as anybody that things can happen. It doesn't necessarily have to be a ton of contact, but yeah, man, it's a great thing to get through both scrimmages and feel like you pretty much run unscathed. Now, some guys were banged up after the first scrimmage, but they're expected to be back soon if they haven't already come back already. There's probably a couple guys that got a little banged up in this past scrimmage, but again, none of the serious injuries that maybe really change the complexion of a position. And when you've got as much talent and experience as this Florida State football team is, the idea of getting through it unscathed is awesome because it just means you have a chance to really maybe do some special things.
All right, who's got the chance to do the most surprising of the special things? I said Jaheim Bell earlier in the show would be a superstar before we get to week 6. Is there another name you want to throw out there? Folks are now locked in. We got 630 people here in the chat, thousands listening throughout Tallahassee, and then, of course, millions more on the stream. They all want to know who else is going to be a star that we're not talking about or is not on the tip of the tongue and those that cover college football nationally.
On offense, and we've talked a lot about these newcomers, but a guy that we haven't talked about a whole lot in camp that I think by the end of the season will be a guy that people are talking about is Rodney Hill. I just think, we knew what he looked like last year in practices. We talked him up in the spring, but then once you get into preseason camp, it's the Trey Benson show, Keziah Holmes, Lawrence Toafili. But I still have a feeling that Rodney Hill is going to be one of those guys that hits the home runs. And, the other day after practice, Corey was asking Lawrence Toafili who's the fastest guy on the team. And, he went with Rodney Hill, his guy in the backfield. And I'm not sure Rodney Hill's the fastest guy on the team, but he is a big-time speed guy. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's a guy that ends up with 600-700 yards just by hitting 5 or 6 really big-time plays.
Defensively, I said that basically the key to Florida State's reaching of all their goals, winning the conference, going to the college football playoff, it's all about the defense. I think we're right to assume the offense is littered with stars in the making, depth on the offensive line, and a superstar quarterback. Set it and forget it on this offense. How much better is this defense going to be, in your opinion, Ira, now that we're through these 2 scrimmages and by and large through the bigger part of camp, how much better is this defense going to be than last? It was good last year, but has a chance to be great this year, do you think?
I mean, if the front seven stays healthy, and that it was not able to do that last year, that to me is the big difference. And they've got a little bit more margin for error this year, even without Darrell Jackson. You've got a little bit more margin for error on the defensive line and at linebacker, to where if you do have a guy banged up or slowed up, it's not going to be the end of the world. I love this secondary. I really think they've had a great camp. I think Patrick Surtain's has done a really good job with them. For whatever reason, they seem to connect with him, and they're being much more aggressive. And that front seven has a chance to be dominant if it can stay healthy. Now, if that happens, yeah, it could be a very good defense. It could be an improved defense from a defense that last year ranked in the top 20 nationally in a lot of categories. The problem is going to be, I don't know if the numbers are going to look all that much better, because they're going to be on the field a lot. This offense is going to score a lot, and they're probably going to be in some games where, maybe they sit some guys in the second half, and maybe teams score a little bit against the backups. But I think it's got a chance to, I think it will be a better defense than it was a year ago. I just don't know if it'll look that way on paper.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a much better defense than it was last year. I think more consistent, even against the good opponents. I really do. I think they're going to be pretty good. I agree with you up front. If they're healthy, they can be a game changer. Is there a player that maybe has played a lot of football but is not as well thought of on that defense that you think has a career turnaround this year? Or is there a newcomer that you would like to circle and let the fans know, hey, there's another guy that I think is maybe not talked about a lot, but is going to be a very good player for this defense?
I hope it's not just, me being, sympathetic to his situation, but I really believe Dennis Briggs may have a good year. I think you've talked about him some,
yes.
and he's finally, man, give that guy all the credit in the world. In an era where players are constantly transferring and looking for new opportunities, that guy has done everything they've ever asked him to do, comes as his defensive end. During the COVID year, he wasn't going to play. I think his family didn't want him to play during the COVID year, but they were so banged up. Marvin Wilson and those guys got hurt on the defensive line. He comes back and plays defensive tackle. Then when they need him at end, he goes back to end. Then they need him at tackle, he goes back. And now he's found a home at defensive tackle. And I think, man, I wrote an article over the weekend about 5 position battles I think you still need to look it out for. And one of the positions I talked about was defensive tackle, and some people dismissed it as, it's definitely Fisk and Lovett if they're both healthy. Probably, but I think Briggs is going to be in that top 3 or top 4, man. I really think he's a guy that can be an every down defensive lineman. And Tom pointed out at practice, you get in 3rd and long and you put him at defensive tackle, that could be some damage.
I love him. I've been rooting for him. I thought it was going to be last year. And then it made me sad because as I was watching it last year, early in the year, I think I said to you and I said to Tom, damn it, he's still not right. He's still not there. The guy we saw before being cheap shotted by Louisville, right, bastards, the guy we saw that was the up-and-coming star that they thought he was, we have not seen since.
But we got glimpses at the end of last season, right?
At the very end of last season, he had a couple of really good games late, and I went, ooh, maybe it's happening. It's happening. He's had a great camp. I love your selection. I think that's absolutely right. I think that he's a guy that could have a huge season. We're not talking about him because they've got so many other names. Anything on the front that you can share with us? If you know anything, great. If you don't, I understand. I'm one of those people, I think I've heard the same thing you have. This may work out for them with this Darrell Jackson situation, Ira. Is there anything more you can tell us on that?
Nothing concrete, but just, there is a feeling, I think, that some of this political pressure may pay off in the sense that, look, you're in a situation here where the NCAA wants Congress to help them with NIL and pay to play and all those types of things. If the NCAA wants that help, can they really just completely dismiss it when these politicians are reaching out for help for these players? So we'll see. I mean, I haven't heard anything concrete, but I feel like there's a better chance now than I did 2 weeks ago. I thought it was case closed, and I think the door's probably open.
Kayvon wants to know in the chat, Ira, I'm interested in your opinion on this. I haven't asked you about it. We haven't talked about it together. Is Cypress a starter?
I think he is. I wouldn't bet my mortgage on my house on it, but I do think he is. And I think I'll say this. I think those top 3 or 4 corners are all going to play a ton. Him, Renardo Green, Jarian Jones, Cesaria Thomas, probably throw a couple of other guys in there as well. But I do think he ends up starting.
And then finally, I would ask you, you like Florida State by more or less than 14 points against LSU?
14, huh? Hey, listen, man, I like Florida State as a strong cover in that game. I really do. I feel good about this game. I think the stuff out of LSU's camp is not shocking to me, and I think Florida State's in a much better position. I think we're a lot of the hand wringing about this game is based on just what Florida State was for those 3 or 4 years between when they were really good and where they are now. And I think, or where they were last year, I think Florida State's in a much better position. I think they're going to win the game.
I asked you specifically, partly to have fun because we're kind of still, a good bit out yet, 2 weeks out, but also because I know you feel that way. You feel strongly that Florida State's going to win this game, and so there you go, kids. If you want to take the 3, Ira's all in on that. And I think if you can corner Ira, if you see him out and about, make him give you some points.
I'll give you 14. Just come find me. I'm not as easy to find as Corey. You can't just roll into the CP at any time of day.
Any time of day and find him sitting there, right?
But if you find me, I may not give you 14, but I might give you more than 3.
What you drinking on the Smash tonight?
It's a good question. I might need to
Don
go
Julio
get some.
week. It's Don Julio week, baby. It's week 0. We got college football this Saturday.
We'll think about it.
I'll
give it some thought.
No Don Julio?
Maybe.
Red stripe? Is it a red
see
stripe?
If Tom, it might be, but I'll see if Tom can talk me into it.
All right. That's tonight, everybody. Watch the Smash, 7 o'clock, always. Be good, Ira.
Thanks.
Later, brother. He's giving him the drink signal. Little Don Julio action. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
A preseason football game between Rickhurst and Leon High School came to an abrupt end at halftime on Friday night. A rumor of a weapon involved caused panic inside the stadium, and fans began to run out into the parking lot. No shots were fired. The Leon County Sheriff's Office said an 18-year-old Leon High School student was arrested. For safety purposes, the game was discontinued. As the crowd was exiting the parking lot, deputies spotted a 15-year-old student with a gun tucked inside his waistband. He was also arrested. The weapon was later determined to be an airsoft gun. Speculation over when Amazon will open its new fulfillment center in Tallahassee is now over. Saturday, Office of Economic Vitality Director Keith Bowers announced that the facility will open mid-September. Information provided to the county shows the date could be as early as the 14th. According to a job hiring informational in July, starting salary for positions is coming in at $15 an hour. The company was expected to fill more than 1,000 positions. This is Rachel and with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Bright sunshine this afternoon. Daytime highs approaching 97. Easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 75. Mainly clear skies tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 98. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Wednesday and Thursday, and highs from the mid-90s to near 100. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 94.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All of these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our
football game of the year, which is this Saturday. CC Dimps, what's the news on Akeem Williams? He's had a good camp. He's well down the depth chart, as I've said before. It's a testament to just how good this wide receiver room has been and how much better it is, certainly, than it was just a few short years ago. They are worlds removed from when they were, sadly, one of, if not the worst, receiving segment groups in the conference. So they've come a long way, and a lot of credit to this entire staff. Obviously, you're happy for Ron Dugans, and he's doing a great job with these guys right now. So want to continue to see that be the case. They could have a huge year. I mean, you've got a quarterback who is as confident as you could possibly be going into this season, with a very good offensive line, an opportunity to be balanced, talent in the backfield, as I've mentioned before. But I think a wonderful play calling tandem, game planning. When you look at Mike and Alex, I think they're great. Mike has proven everywhere he's ever been to be a very, very good offensive mind, and I think he teams wonderfully, obviously, with Alex. So I suspect this will be a big, big year. Some interesting numbers that were sent to me over the weekend, and I want to do something with them tomorrow. Burke Buchanan, who's a friend of ours and does a lot of work for us, and we're going to be talking about him more in the coming days for opportunities this Friday for you guys. But it has to do with scoring points and how many times they reach certain numbers and what the records are in the Norvell era, going back to Memphis. And I thought it was a pretty good insight as to just how prolific, once he gets his guys in place, Mike Norvell is on offense and what he's been in the course of his career. Do I think, Briley writes, do I think we'll beat LSU by 10 plus? It's hard. It's one of those things where, admittedly, you look at LSU, the brand, and you know what they did after they played us last year in winning the West. And you know that they have a quarterback that's hard to get on the ground. And if they had a stationary quarterback, I really think LSU would be in for a long, long night. But when you've got a guy that can make you miss time and again and extend plays, you feel like the race, meaning the race to a number, an offensive number, is so much greater than it should be. Look at last year. I think Florida State was on the cusp of blowing LSU out. Now, that was game one, new regime for LSU. They obviously got better as the year went on. I think Florida State is going to put up a ton of points against LSU. I say a ton. Over 30. Florida State will score over 30 points against LSU. You're telling me they're going to hold LSU to under, say, 24 points, under 21 points in order to get that cover of 10 that you're asking me about? I struggle with it a little bit. I think you could get backdoor covered on that number. But think about what we're talking about there, Briley. Florida State's an underdog going into this game. Vegas has Florida State as an underdog, and you and I and others are talking about whether or not you could cover 10 in victory. That says Florida State fans are very, very confident going into this game, because you're not the only guy. I get this email and these talking points all the time. I think that Florida State fans, as we inch towards this game, are more emboldened every day by the prospects of Florida State winning convincingly in Orlando over LSU. And I'm wondering where LSU fans' heads are at. I'm not in Baton Rouge. I am not around a ton of LSU fans, although I know several. I am curious, are they getting concerned in the way that we're getting emboldened, as I just described, when we read about the problems that LSU is having in camp?
I'm looking at the report of the secondary and I'm salivating. That's number one. If I'm looking for problems for Florida State, problem areas against an LSU test, because again, it's not necessarily about what Florida State is, but the quality of the opponent. Interior of the offensive line is going to be something that I'm watching very closely for Florida State to start this game. I want to see how they hold up against that LSU front. They can work around it. They worked around it last year pretty effectively. Harold Perkins, they want to line up more in the middle of the field and not rushing off of the edge. He was more of an edge player, an explosive playmaker that way for LSU last year. They wanted to be sideline to sideline this year. I don't know if that's the smartest thing in the world that they could do, because you can neutralize somebody in the middle of the field with a Jaheim Bell, or let's say he comes down and you put him in conflict with Jordan Travis and Trey Benson. I feel like that might remove him from the chess match a little bit more easily than if they had him around the line of scrimmage and Jordan Travis having to worry about that player every single snap. Those are two things that I want to see how LSU tests Florida State when their defense is on the field and Florida State's offense is on the field. I think this defense is going to do enough to get off the field with zeros. That is a full stop, a punt, 4 or 5 times against LSU. That should be enough, man. I mean, really, that should be enough. If LSU comes away empty, 4 possessions or more, I think Florida State wins this football game. They win it right around 10, 13 points. That's where it's trending now. But like you said, you got to be very careful with this, because last year they should have blown LSU out and they should have lost the game. At the same time, you can argue both points. They should have lost. That's the lesser point. They should have blown them out. That's the greater point. But it's within reach. This isn't like playing Boston College or Syracuse. This game is absolutely it's in danger at kickoff.
Well, because again, I think what you're looking at is if you're just talking about speed for speed and size for size and depth of talent, LSU's got a ton of talent. Ton of talent. So they're going to be, I mean, that's not, it's hard, I guess, with any conviction to say, all right, well, they're going to get boat race. They could. I mean, but again, a lot of times when you're predicting a whitewashing of some sort, it's because the team that you're playing, you are bigger, stronger, and faster than. Florida State is not appreciably bigger, stronger, and faster than LSU, period. They're just not. They may have a very distinct advantage over LSU, though, if LSU's secondary is a mess that the reports out of Baton Rouge are saying that they are. But again, if we're just talking about bigger, stronger, faster, where blowouts usually happen, Florida State is not bigger, stronger, faster than LSU.
No, it's just about setting the pace. The thing I love about this particular defense, that I love it right here, right now, Daryl Jackson. If they're in third and passing, if that defense is in a third and passing situation, good things are going to happen. I mean, yes, you're facing in the first game of the schedule probably the best scrambling quarterback that you're going to see in the entire schedule. I mean, like, you not even in a playoff, maybe unless you play him again and there's a rematch of the Sugar Bowl and the semifinal for the national championship. You're not going to see somebody who's better at turning a 3rd and 11 and a dead play into a 25-yard gain where you just go, you got to be freaking kidding me.
Infuriating, yeah.
He is that type of player. But this defense, when they get in third and passing, last year I was just hoping that the ball hit the turf. Now I'm expecting the ball to hit our DB in a chest plate, and for them to secure it. If they can get into third and passing, or they can score their way into forcing LSU to having to match and go score for score and play vertically, that's the recipe here for Florida State to pull away and win big.
Let's do some probables, friends. Let's get to it. Let's thank our friends at Power Mill Training Academy, powering performance. They equip and motivate athletes focused on baseball and softball, by the way, with the specific tools necessary to reach child's true potential. They've had 27 alumni put into the major leagues. That's doing some things. 2,000 alumni overall, 45 years of experience. You want to equip your kids, get them out there playing quality baseball and softball and being the best they can be. They also offer up camps. Go to powermillsports.com. Cue it up, sir.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Cubs, Tigers, Javier Assad, Alex Fado. We got the Giants and the Phillies, Scott Alexander, Aaron Nola. Cardinals, Pirates, Drew Rahm has never started a game this year for the Cardinals. Pirates are TBD, so we've entered that part of the season. Mets, Braves. There you go, Tommy. David Peterson going for your Mets. Alan Williams going for the Braves. Red Sox, Stros, James Paxton, Christian Javier, Mariners, White Sox. Look at the Mariners hanging in there in that wild card race. How about that? Luis Castillo goes for the Mariners, and Touki Toussaint goes for the White Sox. We got the Royals and the Athletics. Tucker Davidson, Paul Blackburn. By the way, everybody, the A's are 34-90. They are 34-90. Rangers, D-backs, Jordan Montgomery, Slade Ciccone. Hey, now. That's like a bad Sorry superhero movie, Slade Ciccone. Marlins, Padres, TBD, Michael Wacha, and Reds, Angels, Graham Ashcroft, and that'd be Kraft, and Lucas Giolito. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bubble. All right, Tommy, you run the Smash tonight, right?
I am. 7 p.m. We'll see if the Don Julio is in tow.
Enjoy it. Everybody watch tonight at 7 o'clock. The Smash coming your way. Good job, Director Matthew. Great job, Tom. As always, to all of you, yay, college football. We've made it back, kiddos. Hang in there. Let's have a great week together. Peace.